Hey viewer, I've been scrolling through Twitter and learning so much about, well, everything. I had no idea so many people were expert on everything. On another note, I have recently developed this deep-seated anger, as if I want to yell at someone for no particular reason. Not sure if there is a relation there. Social media has become a big part of our lives, and despite the fact that there is more enjoyment in sitting on an angry porcupine naked, we still gravitate towards using them. We use every opportunity to get on social media during Thanksgiving dinner, in the bathroom, when enjoying intimate moment with a loved one, or when trying to distract ourselves from the existential dread that we are specks of dust on an ever-revolving planet that is slowly approaching its doom. But besides distracting us from the existential dread of existence, social media has important political implications. So why not look at some of those in this video? Like a good crab sandwich, let's start our discussion with some arguably positive side effects of social media. Some social media platforms like Discord can provide people with an avenue to make friends which they otherwise wouldn't. This is especially true for those who find it challenging to connect with others in social settings. Discord provides a safe alternative where they can interact and connect with people who similarly are unable to make connections in physical social settings. Things like Discord can be very beneficial for these people. And also, it can provide people all across the world the ability to connect with like-minded folks who enjoy similar hobbies as them. Another positive impact of social media relates to people who live in authoritarian countries. In such countries, when the citizens organize protests, they use social media as their main medium of communication and organization, which is why authoritarian regimes censor most social media platforms when they feel their power threatened. Overall, there are some good things social media does for us. But now, let's talk about the negatives because Twitter experts taught me that's what the internet is all about. Keep in mind, most of the things I am about to say are my own thoughts on this. But from what I've heard, there are a lot of people who seem to agree as their experience mirrors mine. I encourage you to refer to your own personal experience as well to see if what I'm saying maps onto your feelings on the issue. In liberal societies, we generally expect the ability to be able to speak our minds without governmental coercion. This is something we hold very dear, and in fact consider one of the most important pillars of liberalism. It should be no wonder that a lot of social media platforms have started in the United States, the bastion of free speech, with the exception of TikTok, which is an app I refuse to install on my phone because I don't want another government to look at me as I scroll the internet on the toilet after eating Taco Bell. Social media is looked at by many as the new public square, where citizens exercise their freedom of speech. So when companies engage in banning people from their platforms, other users start yelling, "My favorite content creator got banned! Freedom of speech is under attack." This is why some have actually pushed to make some of these platforms like Twitter and YouTube a publicly owned entity, because so many people use them to express their opinions these days. So most people look at these platforms fondly because they associate them with freedom of speech and expression. Whether that is misguided or not is going to be a topic for another video. But for now, let's just say that social media, despite the fact that it is horrible for you, is something we look to with a degree of reverence. So what's so bad about it? The biggest challenge to liberalism is that social media has undermined our ability to research facts, making it very difficult to ascertain what is true and what is false. But it hasn't done that by stopping people from researching more efficiently. In fact, social media provides the tools for people to research better, but rather, it has incentivized people to ask whose facts are true rather than which facts are true. As social media grew, the impact of personalities on social media grew with it. With a dedicated fan base, these personalities gained an aura of legitimacy. With the exception of a handful of times, the legitimacy these personalities gained didn't come from expertise on a topic, but from popularities they enjoyed. This is not a new phenomenon. Even before social media, companies would pay thousands of dollars to celebrities to act in their advertisements. As social medias got bigger, people tried to figure out how to use the algorithm to become famous and gain legitimacy. The problem here should be obvious. Being famous doesn't automatically mean that one is right. We tend to think that just because someone is good at one thing or knows something very well, they know everything very well. Except for me, of course, I know everything. This is why we listen to famous people and try to emulate them. But what if famous people are wrong? Or what if they're actively believing things that are not true? Or worse, what if they lie for profit? Maybe Pepsi really does bring world peace, I don't know. This creates an impossible situation where people have a hard time discerning truth from falsehood. They flock to the closest person they like, or the most famous person in the room, or someone they already agree with, rather than engage critically with the subject they're studying. In other words, people don't do their research. They look for a famous personality to tell them what the facts are. As a result, we get echo chambers where people seek like-minded others who quote-unquote understand the topic but end up being indoctrinated and eventually refusing to entertain any contrary ideas to their own belief. This is one thing that John Stuart Mill was scared of, and why he encouraged governments to allow freedom of speech. By allowing contrary opinions to be discussed, one can evaluate whether their own opinions are correct or wrong. Social media has made this very difficult by not limiting free speech, but limiting our desire for exposure to contrary opinions. True critical thinking is hard because it could prove painful. What if what you believe is not really true? Social media makes it easier to not think critically by giving you safe echo chambers to take shelter in. Why question yourself when you can find a group that agrees with you on everything? This has been the dilemma since Plato's time and what his allegory of the cave represents. What social media has done is that it effectively stopped us from engaging with real people, and instead we engage with ideas of what the most subscribed person in the room tells us. One look at Twitter, you can see how many people suddenly become experts on topics overnight, which previously they didn't know anything about. But the way they speak betrays an eerie sense of duplicity. It's as if they copy-pasted their ideas from somewhere else. How did they become experts? Did they read books or research it on Google? No. What they most likely did is that they went to their favorite online personality to see what they think about the topic and just copied that. Liberalism requires robust, respectful discourse, and social media was envisioned as something that can facilitate that. To this day, some still think it will. They point to Twitter and say, "Look, Elon Musk bought it, so it has to be better now." But the reality is that no matter who owns Twitter or what they name it, people who use it will continue to look to their favorite personality and try to emulate them. Interestingly, the freedom social media has provided us to express ourselves to the world has resulted in a creation of a factory where indistinguishable blobs are parroting the most famous person in their own echo chambers and aggressively fighting those they disagree with. All the harm social media does is too much to go through in one video. So, get your Taco Bell and be ready for part 2.